Yeah, so this video is sponsored by Keeps. Okay, I guess we're here. When I say here, I mean talking about Luffy at this point and what he's doing. But guys, this is a spoiler video. So if you haven't read chapter 1026, you will 100% be spoiled because I will not be holding back. And of course, on Saturdays, we drill down into specific topics. And this is something from chapter 1026 that I definitely have to talk about. So if you don't want to be spoiled, I suggest you get out of here. So what am I talking about? Well, Luffy has done it again. Well, I guess Oda has done it again, but Luffy has done it again. One of my favorite chapters of all time, One Piece chapter 434. Do you guys know what that chapter is about? Well, if you said Whitebeard and Shanks, then you were correct. This was Shanks approaching Whitebeard on his ship, talking about Ace, and then at the end, them clashing and splitting the seas. Well, splitting the heavens. This was always one of the most hype moments in the story. I mean, this is One Piece, right? So imagine how many hype moments we've had in the story. But this moment, I promise you, this moment was up there. And that's why, I mean, among other things, it's one of my favorite chapters of all time. Now, jump to 1026. This chapter, legitimately, every time I read it, it just makes me happy. What also makes me happy though is when you guys subscribe to the channel. So take this time out, subscribe to the channel if you have not, drop a like, turn on post notifications, and let's talk about the chapter. Let's not get hung up on the subscribe thing, okay? Let's just get it out the way, click that button, but let's get on with it, right? Sky splitting. It's always been one of those things that it signifies something, it means something. And so in 1026, with Luffy doing this, a complete shocker. I think if I had probably 100 chances to guess what would happen in One Piece chapter 1026, I don't think I would have guessed Luffy and Kaido would split the heavens. Why? Because I thought it was too soon. Silly me. Because we are at chapter 1026, and I say this all the time, and I'll say it again. We are in the end game. If this did not make you feel like One Piece is coming to an end, or our boy, our captain Luffy is at a point that he can compete with anyone in the story, I don't know what to tell you. The endgame is scary, I know, but we will be getting moments like this consistently, not just from Luffy, from the other Straw Hats as well, doing amazing things that we didn't think we'd see right now. But again, we're 1026 chapters in. It should be expected. Keeps is the new era, man, and especially for males, trust me, as you get older, inevitably you start losing hair. Right? And that can also be very scary when it begins, but the first thought is, how do you treat it? And do these things actually work? Well, that leads us to Keeps. Keeps is a subscription service that makes it a bit easier for men and less embarrassing dealing with hair loss. Again, this is something that's difficult to come to terms with. Trust me, I know that personally, but you find some solace in the fact that there is a solution. Once you find that solution, it's like a godsend, like, okay, I can somewhat correct this. Keeps is offering a generic version of the FDA approved medication, so it's way more affordable. And again, you're treated from home with a licensed doctor recommending the correct treatment plan for you. Can't forget, Keeps has more 5-star reviews than any of its competitors. It does take 4 to 12 months to start seeing results, so you gotta be patient, but this is legit. If you're ready to prevent hair loss and keep what you got, go to keeps.com/B.D.A law or just click the link below to get a whopping 50% off your first order. So that is keeps.com/B.D.A law. Again, I know it's tough to come to terms with, but it's much easier with Keeps. But anyway, Luffy splitting the heavens. What does this mean? Are we automatically elevating Luffy? Now, the instant thing is Luffy becoming the 5th Yonko. People are gonna say, Goku, stop, shut up. Yonko, it sounds cooler. Goku does not sound as cool, but I understand what you're saying, but whatever. Yonko. Him becoming the 5th one, it was met with a lot of controversy. I remember that chapter so well because everyone in the community, well, not everyone, there were a lot of people, a lot of detractors saying, okay, that's just one man's opinion of Luffy. And the facts of the matter are a bit skewed in Luffy's favor. Some people were saying, he was being acknowledged for a position that he didn't necessarily earn. And my main thing was that he needed the approval of his peers, because the chapter came out where Shanks was like, well, we will meet soon. Blackbeard said, not yet. Big Mom and Kaido obviously don't feel that way because Big Mom called him a speck of sand, but this is before Whole Cake Island and him wrecking the entirety of her island, right? Her territory, going in and leaving, so Luffy gets a W for that. But Big Mom didn't believe it. She did not acknowledge him or recognize his strength. It's subtle, right? And maybe I'm jumping to conclusions here, but Big Mom calling him a rambunctious brat and laughing. I think Kaido and Big Mom gotta start taking him seriously because Big Mom had called him a speck of sand. Do you still think that, Big Mom? Do you really still think Luffy is a speck speck of sand in the world? Okay, you don't really have to answer that because it's rhetorical, because it's clear. I know this is somewhat overblown, but you told Kaido to dodge an attack from Luffy's subordinate, Zoro. There's no way that you still think that these Straw Hats, or just Luffy in particular, or a speck of sand, but Luffy as a Straw Hat, he represents or is being represented by his entire crew. If he's just that, why'd you tell Kaido to dodge? Anyway, we're getting off the path. Luffy at this point, clashing with Kaido, splitting the seas, I think it's an acknowledgement. I think it's Oda telling us something. This is Oda telling us that Luffy has finally reached that level. So what is this level? This is the level in which Luffy can legitimately compete with anyone in the story. I think his will, his ambition, his motivation, his drive, it has never been higher. His disposition is on a different level, and it is matching that of another emperor. Let me say that again. Luffy's disposition, Luffy's king's disposition is matching that of another emperor. Coding his attacks in Haki, bouncing back after Kaido threw his ass off of Onigashima like a doll he didn't want to play with anymore. And Kaido is still saying, wait, does he really think he has a chance? I mean, it's clear that he does, but why does he? Again, what does this mean? Okay, we're getting into power scaling territory because a lot of people feel like because this moment happened, Luffy's automatically Yonko caliber. And they're right. Now, I still think Luffy 1v1 from the beginning to the end could possibly lose to every single one. But there are few characters currently in the story that could actually beat Luffy. I believe Luffy has stepped into another stratosphere, right? So for instance, let me throw out a name. Ben Beckman. For Ben Beckman, if he clashed with Shanks, if he clashed with Kaido, if he clashed with Big Mom, would the heavens split? Would we have a moment like this if Ben Beckman clashed with the Yonko? I don't think so. Now again, this is not a direct representation of strength, but I think in this moment, strength is just as important as the symbolism. This is symbolizing elevation. In a way, it's finality, where the fight is coming to an end. The final fight is here. Luffy will not lose again. I've said it before, there will be a moment in which we think Luffy has been defeated, but he's gonna bounce back because that's what he always does. He is rubber anyway. If I had to gauge it, right? Because I said it before, after this moment, Luffy's past Sabo for me. I don't want to hear any more about Rayleigh being stronger than Luffy. And honestly, he's past the old man trio for me. So when you think about it, for me personally, he's firmly in the range of the admirals. So people are going to say, well, Luffy surpassed the admirals. He's Yonko caliber. Well, I think every admiral can obviously compete with the Yonko. And some people don't think that, but I think the story is clear about the hierarchy in the world and where the admirals stand. They are right there with the Yonko when you talk about influence, strength, and pretty much everything the Yonko stand for. They're that for the world government. Mind you, the world government that's in power. They control the world, not the Yonko, the world government. The Yonko, for the most part, they stay in their corners of their sections of the world. And granted, they rule those sections, but they don't rule the world. And the few that have tried to go against the world government, well, it didn't really end well. I want to clarify something though. Just because this moment happened does not mean Luffy has surpassed the other Yonko. Even though he's Yonko caliber, I believe again his disposition, his ambition, his will has been elevated to another level, and I think his level of belief is to a point where it's never been before. The reason being is also because of the chapter. What he did for Momonosuke, right, showed obviously unbelievable leadership qualities because he's building Momonosuke's confidence. By doing that, it gives Luffy such a mature presence. It felt like something Shanks would do. Imagine Shanks was fighting with Luffy. It felt like something Shanks would do, like, hey, punch the Yonko, hit him with a pistol. You just hit the strongest man in the world, the strongest creature in the world, one of the Yonko with an attack. What is there to be afraid of anymore? And I think for Luffy, that's kind of his mentality. I just got knocked off Onigashima from the strongest creature in the world. At this point, if I'm telling Momonosuke to believe, I have no doubt. Remember what Rayleigh said, no doubt. That is true strength. So I think Luffy has elevated to a point where his mind, mentally, there's literally no doubt that he can beat Kaido. Luffy believes that at this point, Kaido is no longer the favorite. Like he said, as long as he's alive, anything is possible. Anything can happen. And for Luffy in his fights, the longer you make him stick around, the impossible can happen. And it's happened time and time and time again. From Crocodile to Impel Down to Marineford to Katakuri. Now Kaido will be a victim of letting Luffy hang around too long. He knew he messed up when he threw Luffy down by saying, I should have killed you, and showed them that you were gone. because without proof, they will not stop believing. And Luffy at this point, he's not going to stop believing. His belief, again, is at its peak. He truly believes he can compete with Kaido. He truly believes he can compete with the other Yonko. And that's why I think he's been elevated. It's not just strictly strength. I think it's a mentality. It's a disposition. I think Luffy from the beginning of Onigashima has gotten stronger, whereas his presence and his belief has gotten to another level. Because remember in the beginning, they could barely do anything to Kaido. Then Kaido started to dodge Luffy's attacks. Why are you dodging, Kaido? What's wrong? Those small moments, they've led us to this point. I also gotta say, as much as Luffy's helping Momonosuke, I think Momonosuke has helped him as well. I don't think Luffy's scared of anything, right? I think the only thing Luffy is probably afraid of, that's been communicated in the series, is not having the strength to protect his friends and pursue his dreams. That's the only thing. So remember in Wano, everything that's transpired. He thought he saw his friends die. He saw a captain in Kid who could not protect his right hand. For Luffy and this journey throughout Wano actually shown him what could be if you can't protect your people. The entirety of Wano, what has been the conversation? Who is Wano for the most part centered around? Oden. Oden could not protect his people. And then they fell into the hands of Kaido for 20 years. Hearing a story like that, for Luffy being in this position, that is a lot of responsibility to bear. He knows it's riding on his shoulders. And now at this point, he's like, I gotta do it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I have to win, because if I don't, what happened to Wano could happen to my people. What happened to Wano could happen to the world. But screw the world. I'm thinking about my crew. People I care about. Vivi, Dadan, Rebecca, Nojiko, shoot, Gonfall, Gaimon. People that he's met, people that he cares about, Shirahoshi, Fishman Island. Luffy not only has the responsibility of being the captain of the Straw Hats, there's a bit more riding on him. And I'm loving the subtle growth. Some people may not want to acknowledge it, but what he's done for Momonosuke, he does it all the time, right? Where he shows people what's important in a very simplistic way. Just look at what's in front of you. Look at what's happening. Now you've done that, we can get to the next step. It is so simple, but so very effective. But guys, again, Luffy's elevated, but strength here is very important. He's stronger, but symbolically, this means so much. I honestly, and I don't mean to get sentimental, I just wish Ace was here to see this. I really wish Ace was here to see his brother become this. When Luffy sees Sabo again, that's gonna be such a touching moment, because Sabo will recognize the growth. Say, Luffy, well, I saw you in the newspaper. They're calling you a Yonko now. I know Ace would have loved to see you like this. You're finally getting closer to your goals and your dreams. And Luffy just laughs and says, yeah. His prototypical laugh while his finger's on his nose. Yeah, that one. Man, this chapter was amazing. We'll get into the finer details tomorrow, but guys, give me your thoughts, man. What does this mean? What did it mean to you? Luffy splitting the heavens, because legitimately, a fantastic moment. It's one of the moments we've been waiting for, even though I thought it would come versus Shanks. I'm not mad at all that it's here. But guys, give me your thoughts. Make sure to like the video if you did. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter at BragoDAce. Follow me on Instagram at BragoD.ace. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Guys, again, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
I start doubting me, I felt lost. I rewrite it.